Scholars generally agree that the earliest form of writing appeared almost 5,500 years ago in Mesopotamia or the present day of Iraq. Earlier pictorial signs were gradually substituted by a complex system of characters representing the sounds of the Sumerian or the language of the Sumer in southern Mesopotamia and the other languages. Good day everyone, this is Arnel Tacusalme, and for today's lesson we're going to talk about what is the writing process, 5 steps of writing process, and why is the writing process important. What is the writing process? Writing is a complex combination of skills which is best taught by breaking down the process. Writing process involves a series of steps to follow in producing a finished piece of writing. Educators have found that by focusing on the process of writing, almost everyone learned to write successfully by breaking down writing step by step, or the mystery is resolved and writing blocks is reduced. Most importantly, students discover the benefits of constructive feedback on writing and they progressively master and even enjoy writing. Although they will often overlap and sometimes students will move back and forth between them. The writing process can generally be broken down 5 steps. When students learn to internalize the 5 steps of writing process, he or she will likely produce a logical, well-written composition. With the 5 step writing, putting pen to a paper or fingers to keyboard becomes more simple. So without further ado, I introduce to you the 5 steps of writing process. The 5 steps of writing process. Have you heard about this writing process? This is a chance that you did practice this routine back in high school or even grade school, or you might have heard about it during a discussion on writing methods. If you are new to the concept, then here's a quick recap. So the 5 step writing process is a writing technique that comprises of 5 distinct stages of writing. Each of these steps targets specific objects. For instance, free writing stage is all about finding ideas and resources for your blog post or article. Then the next stage involves the actual writing of the article. Later, you will review, revise, and edit your work before it is worthy of publishing. This step-by-step writing process gives you a sense of direction that you could not have had otherwise. The 5 steps of writing process are free writing or the brainstorming, drafting, revising, editing, and publishing. Here's a breakdown of the writing process and how it works. Number 1, free writing or the brainstorming. Have you ever spent hours staring at your blank page? Don't worry, you're not alone. Staring at your teasing pointer dictate at you can be frustrating to say at least. Without proper plan, the blank page looks intimidating, right? That's where free writing and brainstorming ideas come in handy. This is the planning phase of the writing process. When students brainstorm, research, gather, and outline ideas, often using diagrams for mapping out their thoughts. Audience and purpose should be considered at this point, and for the older students, a working thesis statements need to be started. Free writing phase involves developing an outline for your blog post or other type of content that you are working on. So the process includes brainstorming ideas, researching resource materials, and developing an outline. You could either map out these ideas like a flow chart or take notes in bullet points. Try to create a free writing strategy and writing routine that suit your best. With that said, there are 3 things that every vlogger must do during this stage. These crucial steps are to number 1, find a purpose. First, ask yourself why you are writing in the first place. If you are a blogger, then this could be because of your passion for educating the educators about your chosen opportunity. Like for example, if you are associated with a marketer, then you want to sell review products and attract potential customers. The best strategies is to consider the purpose of your article and the idea of your audience. Then think of the topics that could align with these writing goals. Number 2, flesh your ideas. Once you have found a concept, you need to build it through supportive arguments or evidence. If your topic is technical, research the right resources. Then research the right resources. You should write them down for your future reference. You could also use the information as the foundation of the central concept. That way, you will have real resources to prepare to when you get stuck during the drafting stage. And the last one, form a structure. The last step revolves around structure and formatting. Review the things you have already written, then cut out the unconnected ideas. The final notes should have a beginning, middle, and end. That way, you have a general idea of your blog post is about and how you plan to write it. In other words, you use this pre-writing stage to create a blueprint for your next blog post, essay, or article. Having all the information in one place simplifies the drafting process. So let us move on to the drafting. When we say drafting, the students create their initial composition by writing all their ideas in an organized way to convey a particular idea or present an arguments. Audience and purpose need to be finalized. The all-important drafting stage is where the creative actions takes place. You use the facts and ideas that you acquired during the previous pre-writing phase to compose the actual content. The trick here is to develop an even draft or even a zero draft before you concern yourself with clear formatting, etc. You can do this by give way in a 5 to 15 minutes pre-writing session. Use this time to create or to write down everything and anything you can regarding the chosen topic. Think of directions you can take your article and the arguments you can make. Try to forget about word count and formatting rules while you are pinning your thoughts. Free-flowing writing is the fun and freedom of writing a zero draft. The first draft is about all your opinions and research facts and data and how you use them to describe the selected topic. Then use your second draft to give it all the proper structure. So the question is, what is the purpose of rough draft? Many writers find the inflexibility of routine drafting. Due to this, they start fixating on rules instead of letting their creativity flow. It could make their content sound dull and stiff. By writing a rough draft, you get to play with the topic without any restriction. It would also allow you to retain the spark of personality that makes you unique. The second, third, and later drops are all there to smoothen out the edge. The way you get the final vision that is both professional and personal. Let us move on to revising. Students review, modify, and reorganize their work by rearranging, adding, or deleting content, making the tone, style, and content appropriate for the intended audience. The goal of this phase of writing process is to improve the draft. One of the most crucial stages of writing is the revision phase. It is when your initial draft the proper shape as you start aligning them according to the specific rules. Successful revision session revolves around 4 vital questions. Number 1, does the content convey everything or should add more material to support your ideas or your points? Will the content should better if you rearrange it in another way? Are the points connected and cohesive or do they appear disjointed? Did you concede your word count? Are these phrases or paragraphs you can remove? It is a better way to create a particular paragraph. Can you replace point A with a more impactful to the point B? You must explore and cut up your content from all aspects. Think from your reader's point of view to fill in the gaps. Additionally, remove section that sounds tiresome, irrelevant. This ensure that your copy has the clarity and brevity required to get your points across. Let's move on to the editing. At this point in the writing process, writers read and correct errors in the grammar and mechanics, and edit to improve style and clarity. Having another writer's feedback in the stage is helpful. Among the 5 steps of writing process, revision and editing are too often steps that are erroneously thought of as being interchangeable. If you are guilty of making this mistake, then allow me to enlighten you. The first difference between these stages of writing is their function. During the revision stage, you are focused on the subjective aspect of your material. This thing include the coherence and pace of your content. After taking care of those areas, you move onto the mechanics of your job. Editing involves proofreading the content line by line, paragraph by paragraph. The longer your blog post or another type of content is, the more thought you should be with your editing. Check sentence structure, spelling, grammar, and other intricate details within the copy. The editing process ensures that your writing is clean, tight, and error-free. If possible, ask somebody else to proofread your work. Your better reader or editor can pinpoint errors that you missed during your review. You can even use online proofreading tools like Grammarly to check your work. The intelligence writing assistant highlights problematic ideas within your copy, which can help elevate the qualities of your writing. And the last one, publishing. In this last step of the writing process, the final writing is shared with the group. Sharing can be accomplished in a variety of ways. With the help of the computers, it can even be printed or published online. The final step, publishing, differs from project to project. If you are publishing the blog post on your website, then follow your standards protocol. Your process could include keywords optimization, in blending internal links, and adding images. You might even want to change the formatting style to make the content look more visually appealing. In the contrast, publishing a guest post is slightly different. You need to adhere to the publishing website rules before submission. Make sure that your content meets their criteria at all costs. If anything is unclear, that way you have greater chance of getting published by your chosen website or publication. The main idea is to finalize your draft and to run it through a quality assurance and check before publishing it anywhere. Let us now move on to the last topic that we are going to talk about. The writing process makes or allow your brain to work in a different ways. You're focused to organize your thoughts into pattern, hopefully logical, to work through problems to describe corporeal things and emotions so that others can experience them. It helps you dig deeper into characters and understand their motivations and reactions. Writing emphasizes the writing process because it emphasizes the value of dialogue as a teaching technique. The teaching writing process empowers students by asking them to talk about their writing at every step of the writing process. Students submit work according to set schedule of lessons and assignments, and the structure provides feedback on the work, mixing encouragement with the constructive criticism. Students apply these comments to the next step in the assignment. Both exchange comments about the writing, creating a conversational between instructor and students, both about the content of the writing and about the process of doing the work. In addition, it helps the small motor muscles and flex develop. It's kind of like cooking a recipe. Some chefs can cook outstanding meals from memory based on innate talent or years of copyist study. But even a great chef will have to follow a recipe when trying to cook something new, right? Following a process of writing rather than just blurting about anything and think it's a perfect. Ensure that the final meal is tasty to everyone. One of the biggest issues here that could be writer's space is what they want their work to be done. But good writing takes work, work, work. There are perhaps a handful of writers in all the history that can prescribe write a perfect piece of literature. It's highly unlikely that any of those kind of writers are around right now. Every author or writers you read that engage you or make you want to keep reading probably spend a ton of time on that work. They went through a writing process to make sure that whatever raw talent or knowledge they had was properly honed and directed. And that's the end of my report. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I hope you learned something from me today. Have a great day ahead of you.